Hello and welcome to American Pantry. Today we'll be discussing the French knife. How does this have anything to do with prepping, you ask? Well, you're going to need a knife to cook all that food. Clean, cut, prepare, process. Animals, your garden, stuff you've canned. And this is the knife to do it, right here. Why this knife, you ask? Some people look at that knife and say, that's huge! Why would you ever need anything that big? Well, the reason you would need something this large to process all of that is because this is what we call the universal knife. It's called a chef's knife or a French knife. In the culinary world, this knife is, you're trained to know that you can do any task in the entire kitchen that would require a knife with this knife. Now, some of them may be a little bit harder to do, some of them may be a little easier. There are certain tasks like chopping, dicing, slicing that are much more, this knife is much more useful for compared to deboning, where you would want something like a fillet knife. Something like this knife right here. So notice the edge is thinner, not as long, not as much of a belly, but still a sweeping point. So you can make your slice cuts also with this kind of knife. Now this is pretty big, but this would be good for larger butchering tasks. Getting both in the picture there. Now, what to choose? Well, in front of you, you have a Henkel's. This is a 5-star. This is one of their upper lines, and I think this is about $120. You don't need to spend that kind of money. This was one of the first knives I bought when I first got into cooking. Of course, I'll never get rid of it, but I do not actually like that much. The grip, as you can see, is quite large compared to the next knife I bought to replace that one, which is this one. This is a shun, Kershaw shun, that you're familiar with. It has a much, they call it the D grip, much thinner wood, I believe it's laminate, grip. Again, a different, slightly different style. This is called a santoku, but it serves the same exact function. Let's say this is the Eastern influence on the chef's knife. But, as you can see, it does the same thing. Another option would be a cleaver. See if we get that up there. This was $5 at a Chinese store in Philadelphia. It's sharp. It sharpens very easily. It's fairly thick, as you can see, not as thick as the chef. There's the French knife there. If I can pick that up or not. But it was much cheaper. But you will require a knife, for sure. You need something to process. You need something to be able to be multifunctional, as with anything else prepping. If you buy one thing, it should do many things for you. It is a tool. A knife, just like a hammer, just like a weapon, firearm, excuse me, is a tool. It could be used as a weapon. You could lash it to a stick if you really wanted to and make a spear out of it, although I wouldn't really do that. This is not a full tang knife. This one is a full tang. But again, this one also was about $160, this shun. So you're going up in price. But what I wanted to show you was another option, another Henkel's. Now as you'll notice, the quality goes down. The steel in the bottom knife here is a little bit less than this knife right here. But it's still a nice knife. It is a little bit not as wide, so it works okay for slicing tasks. Also, it's just a riveted handle, but full tang. This knife cost about $52 when I purchased it. Now that was about 3 years ago, so it may have gone up in price somewhat, but it's a very good knife, good steel, German steel. Your length is good. See the length on those, they're 8-inch blades. This is, I believe, a 7.5-inch blade, 7-inch, something like that. And this will do you just fine. You will need a good chef's knife in terms of prepping. You cannot get away from a good chef's knife. It will save you every time. From small tasks to big, it will be your go-to knife. Now a lot of you say, oh, well that's not needed. I do everything in the kitchen with a knife this size. In contrast, this is a paring knife. Well, yes, our grandmothers, our mothers, our, anyone in your family above you who at some point in their life saw somebody doing this and turning with the knife towards them in a horrible way, unsafely. This is a paring knife. It is meant for paring. Can it do other tasks? Yes, of course. It's still a tool. However, it is not nearly as capable as this. Let's say this is the Honda Civic. This is the Chevy Camaro. Okay? Still gets the job done. Does it well. But does not compare. Here's another chef's knife to show you. Again, 8-inch blade. Good handle. Nice belly on there. Good sharp edge. And that is it. So, in conclusion, as part of your preps, definitely take a look at your knives. If you have $10 Cuisinart knives, there's nothing wrong with them as long as they're sharp. But if you're going to go that route, I would highly suggest something like this, the Old Hickory. The whole set can be had for, I believe, under $70. It's good high carbon steel, very easy to sharpen. You just need to maintain it versus something like this, which is a stainless. And as long as you address the issues with the high carbon steel, it will last you forever. They actually take a better edge, in my opinion. But most nowadays knives you'll see will have some stainless in them because the general population don't want to take care of their knives. They want to buy them, they want to put them in the dishwasher, which you will never do because knives never go in the dishwasher. So, that is that. And remember, one knife to do everything in the kitchen. American Pantry signing out.